In this video, you're going to see how to cut tiles using the Montolit Masterpiuma P5. This is hands down one of the best cutters that you can get for your money because you can cut all the tiles behind me using this one tool. So for example, in this bathroom, I'm going to be installing ceramic, porcelain, and glass mosaic. I can use just this one tool to do all that. And in this video, I'm also going to go over different tools that you can use in addition to this to make all of your cuts look nice and professional in the end. So the first thing is, this cutter is great because it collapses and then you expand the square. So it has different measurements on it. It goes from 15, 30, 45, 60, and 75. So for example, you can go straight to 45 and just lock it in place. And it will do this both ways. And the way to do that is to make this little piece of metal go up, and then you just slide it to the 45, for example, and lock it in place. Pretty easy to move this square. Now the other cool feature that this has, and I'm going to show you how this works, is this other square right here. And you can adjust it so we'll get a shot of this, but on this side of the cutter, it has all these different measurements. So you can go from like 1, 2, 3, 4, you can go the whole way out to, in this case, 24 inches. And you can just lock this square in place. So I'm just going to lock it in place at 3 inches. That extra square is awesome for making repeated cuts. So for example, this is a 3x6 subway tile. If I place the tile right here and I want to repeat this cut over and over again, it just makes it super easy. So watch. So then I can take this and I can get my second tile, place that up against the square. And I can just keep doing that over and over again. So having this little square here is great, but the other thing is you can just move it out of the way. So if you don't need it, you just put it over to the right, not a big deal. So obviously we saw how to cut subway tile, and I showed you that real quick. But there are some really great tips for how to use this manual cutter, and it all has to do with the handle. Making great cuts all begins with where you're going to put your hand on this handle. So for example, there are notches on the handle that correspond to how much, I guess, leverage you want to place on the tile. The least amount of leverage is right here at ×4. So this would be where you put your hand for a smaller tile, like a 3x6. As you go down the handle to like ×7, that's where the tiles are going to get bigger. So for example, this might be like a 12x12. And then right at the end of the handle, this is ×10, this would be for your large tiles, just something that's going to be difficult to snap. So for this little 3x6, we're going to put it on top of the manual cutter. And the way that I'm going to cut this, so this is important. I'm going to put my hand in the middle of the handle because that's comfortable for me. But you could put it further up. You just want to place your hand on the tile to steady it, and then there's a cutting wheel down here. You want that to come to the edge, and we're just going to go ahead and score this. We don't need to move the handle back any, and then you can put your hand on the support bar, and you just snap it. Really simple, and you can see that this is a nice, clean snap. Tile looks good. And this is a cheap tile. There's nothing special about it. 3x6 subway tiles are one thing. They're pretty simple to cut. But what about bigger tiles? That's really what this size Masterpiuma was meant to do, is snap bigger tiles. So this is a 6x36 wood plank tile. So the nice thing with this cutter is it can handle both small and bigger tiles. So for something like this, I'm placing it square with the bigger square. I'm going to take the smaller one and have it come up against it. This is just nice to hold it in place and make sure that I'm going to have a square cut. So from here, basically the same thing. This is a slightly bigger tile. I can have my hand a little bit farther back on the handle. I just want to engage the cutting wheel on the edge of the tile. I'm going to hold the tile with my left hand. When the handle gets to here, I'm going to move my hand behind it. We'll complete the score, and then we'll go ahead and snap it. So as you can see, nice, clean snap. And this is fantastic because you don't have to rip this down on a wet saw. You can just use a manual cutter. Now for something this wide, what happens with this new P5 is that you have these supports. So you push down on the support, you swing it open. By the way, these are really beefy. You're not gonna ruin them by accidentally leaning on it. And then what you can do is place the tile and support it like so. Now you can cut this in half or whatever size you need. So we'll just do the exact same thing. We'll score it, and then we'll snap it. So again, pretty awesome to be able to do that with a wood plank tile like this. So I want to show you a specialty cut that I think could come in handy if you're putting in a shower, and that is a diagonal cut on a bigger tile, like a 24 by 24. This is a big boy, and so we're going to make a diagonal cut with it. The first thing you want to do is put these support arms back. So you snap them back in place, and then you can move the support to that 45-degree angle. So we'll leave it here. We're going to lock that in place. And then from here, that's where you pull your support arms back out. Okay, so now that you can support this big tile. And it's a big boy. I mean, it's not super huge, just bigger than you'd imagine. So the support arm, by the way, can swing the whole way out like this. So that when you put the tile in place, whoops, it's going to support that. So we'll slide this the whole way back to here. So move that to the 24-inch mark right here. But the other thing that I like to do is align the tip of this tile with the 0 on the support arm. You also want to align the tip back here with the little groove that is on the Masterpiuma. So from here, we'll just move that over a little, and then you can spy down the wheel to make sure it's going to line up with the tip of the tile here. And once you're satisfied with that in the placement, we're going to go ahead and support this with our hand, score it, move our hand back here, okay, and then I'm going to move this back a little bit and we'll snap it. Now sometimes this happens whereby you don't get a complete cut right here. Okay, so it didn't completely snap. That's because I didn't engage the wheel. But there is a way to fix that. I'm going to show you how to do that. To cut off this tiny little imperfection, I'm going to be using an angle grinder. This is the Milwaukee Rapid Stop Grinder. It's awesome. More on that in a second. And a diamond blade. Now, if you want to know what diamond blade I'm using, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to have a whole different video on that. But let me show you how the Rapid Stop works. It's fantastic. Watch this. Pretty fast, but stops on a dime. So we're going to cut this off right now. So it pays to have good tools, especially if you're making specialty cuts like this. This is one big triangle, and as you can see, it would be very, very nice to have this for a bench top, like a corner bench top in a shower. Wavy tiles are getting very popular, or tiles that just have a lot of different depth to them. So this one, for example, is super wavy. And I don't know if you can see this, but like it's definitely not flat whatsoever. So these can present a challenge when cutting. So I'm going to pull the support just out far enough to support the edge of the tile. All right. And you can see all the waves right here. So this is a very challenging tile traditionally to cut, but because the handle is spring-loaded, we'll be able to do this. So you can see all of the cuts here. Now, this tile is going to be tough no matter what because of the waves. So I do have a tip for how you can clean this up. So we're going to be using a diamond polishing pad for this. This is just attached to my grinder via a Velcro attachment. So it just goes on like so. And you want to have an adjustable speed grinder for this. So for example, I'm going to adjust this down to like 2. That's a good place to start. And that's why I like this Milwaukee grinder. But basically, to clean up this kind of jagged edge here, we cut it. There aren't any chips, but because of the waves, we have to like basically polish that down. So you can lean the tile on your leg or whatever. And then I do recommend wearing a silica dust respirator right here. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you how to do this quickly. We can just grind down the edge. So that might actually be too fast. You don't want it to be so fast that the pad flies off the grinder. So let's just see. So that's good. So let's go ahead and just polish this down. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole tile, but what I wanted to show you is this is the top that was polished down, and if we go farther down you can see that it's jagged. So having a diamond polishing pad definitely gives you more professional results. So again, I'll show you how to use this a little bit more in another video. Another common tile is a mosaic. So these are just 2x2 little mosaics in black. They're beautiful. And there's one additional thing that I recommend if you're going to cut them on the Masterpiuma. And that's this little rubber mat. It's called the mosaic. And how this works is basically it goes over top of the Masterpiuma. There's a little kind of like ridge right here. And there's a ridge on the back of the mat. Well, you just match that up. And the other cool thing is there are different dimensions on the mat, so you can use this to cut the mosaic. So basically the mosaic, how it works is just like every other tile. You put it onto the mat, you line it up where you want it to be, and you want to hold it in place. So for example, if I want to split this down the center, we just line up the blade, make sure that that's mostly centered and where I want it to be. And then you're going to cut each tile. So I'm just going to score each tile. And then I'm going to snap each one individually too. So we'll snap it, snap it. So watch this. This is really cool. So basically you get a bunch of clean snaps here, and all you need to do is cut the back of this. And now you have yourself a really clean cut where you can use it anywhere in a bathroom, kitchen, shower, you name it. Now we're going to do glass. This is without a doubt some of the most beautiful tile that you can use, but it's very delicate. So notice on the back of the tile, let me take it back out, it's got white paint on it. And if this chips off, you're going to be able to see through the glass and what's going on behind it with the thin set, and that's never good. So I always recommend using white thin set for that reason. And glass can be very tricky to cut, but on the Masterpiuma, not so much. It's pretty easy to do. So again, we'll just line the blade up with the edge, score it. Doesn't take much pressure to snap it. So again, look at that. Nice and clean. Just absolutely beautiful. And you can imagine having this in a kitchen or a shower and how easy it'll be to set this quickly using a tool like this. So none of the white paint chipped off the back because we used the mosaic kit. Hopefully you got some tips for how to cut tile in this video. If you have any questions about the Masterpiuma P5 or any of the other tools, just let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, and also if you're doing a bathroom remodel, you can check out our online courses over at homerepairtutor.com. They're fantastic. I promise you, I guarantee you, you'll get a lot out of them if you're doing a bathroom or a shower remodel. So check them out over at homerepairtutor.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments.